Coach, go ahead with the statement, and then we'll open up for questions.
Well, I appreciate everybody's tolerating that. I thought it was only appropriate that at this point of where our program is and the grind of a 20-game season, that everybody, this is a team, this is a family, that everybody make sure that they're on this podium. And we've we've come a long way in terms of the growth of this program, and I'm proud of us. We had as tough a schedule throughout the conference play as anybody could possibly have. We withstood some ups and downs, and today was very typical of just about every game in this league every night. And I'm really proud of this group. I'm proud of the seniors. Tyler was huge, getting us off to a great start with some passes to get Kofi going, and then Kipper on his senior night played his best game of the year, and I couldn't be prouder of him. Dre dealt with a little tough luck early, but again, it's amazing. He finds 14 points tonight, and in what was a pretty quiet night, but for him on the glass. But I thought that, and I will mention, Sammy was sick and had been out, so it wasn't in practice for a couple days. But I thought our defense the first 8 minutes, give Iowa a lot of credit. I was wondering if we were going to give up the most points ever in State Farm Center. We couldn't get a stop, and then we settled in. We maintained it because we played really good offense, and we attacked their zone. Kofi got touches, and it was a good balance to be tied at half. We got going in transition because we got stops in the second half, and then we withstood Luka. At the end, we made a couple plays that weren't very intelligent, which is disappointing because we practice a lot of situations. But just like every other game in this league, it comes down, to the last minute or 2 minutes.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Brett, Io said we just don't like each other, these two teams. This seems like it's a budding rivalry. Is that a good thing from your perspective, or why do you think this is kind of the rivalry that's?
I don't know. That's I think more our players probably than anything. I mean, they compete. They all know each other. It got a little chippy. We don't condone that, but Fran's as good a ball coach as there is on the offensive end, and I mean the stuff that they do, and I think rivalries, if you want to call it that, are awesome. They are great for sports. They're great for college basketball. This league can have you can have as many of them as you want, but those games become fun. They become more important to the fans and the players, and I love Fran's staff, and they got great guys. So it's every time we play, we're going to compete, and that's what it's about.
Rob?
After seeing Tyler feed the low post effectively a couple of times in the early going, was there any thought about leaving him in?
There was a thought about, that's about the extent of his time frame playing at, not having a lot of minutes, probably playing 3 or 4 minutes. I almost went back to him, especially with Dre, having some fouls. But at the time I was getting ready to put him back, to be very honest, they went big. And so, we played a stretch there. We moved DeMonte to the 3, and I went that way instead.
Scott?
I guess with 4 players in double figures, 20 assists on 30 make shots, and then the offensive rebounds. I mean, is that maybe the brand of basketball that you would like to see every night?
Pretty much. There's nothing greater to me than assist, and there's nothing greater than judgment of your effort by offensive rebounds and rebounding the basketball. And we've won most of the year because of our defense and our rebounding, and that translates into postseason. We got to continue to work to get better in those areas as well.
Tyler?
To piggyback off that, shot volume is big for you, but shooting's been a struggle all year. Do you still feel like there's some better shooting on the horizon, or do you feel it's just going to be continue to grind it out for the rest of the way?
We've all seen Trent get going. We all know what Trent's capable of. I loved what Trent's been doing the last 2 or 3 days because he's been in the gym. He's going to have one of those moments where he just breaks out. And I mean, Io, tonight was a game that was set up more for him off the drive probably than shooting. But we'll continue to get better. Allen's capable of 5, 6, 7 threes in a row, and that's one thing I don't worry about.
Yeah.
Brad, could you kind of talk about throwing Iowa's game back kind of in their face? It just seems like you're at your best when you're in transition, and you got a lot of buckets and a lot of looks that way.
Broke the game open, and they're one of the top teams in the country in terms of pace and in transition. And yet, when you get defensive stops and can run, we're one of the best teams as well. And we've never stopped not wanting to be aggressive in the first 7 seconds. Io gets going in that with that head of steam downhill, and Trent and Dre, and it's a problem for people.
Steve?
Hey, Brad. What's it like to get to take a look at your kid and welcome him on senior night and have that moment?
My wife told me I couldn't cry. She said, "You're going to embarrass yourself," and I'll be very honest. They went quick with the announcement. I was still taking the picture because I truly wanted to walk with him and walk out with Susan, walk out with my daughters. It didn't quite go that way, but man, I'm so happy for him. And I just had a friend give me one of the nicest compliments. You don't hear great things about your children always, and it was pretty heartfelt to do that and know what he's been through with 3 high schools and 3 colleges and 3 universities, and he's a guy I'm awfully proud of, and he's a good player, just not a Big Ten caliber type guy. But we saw what he can do passing the basketball, and there's no doubt I'm a very, very proud father, and I'm proud to get to coach him.
Derek?
What did you notice about Kipper's mindset today, his effort, and what can he provide for you in postseason play potentially?
I don't know, man. I hope you guys ask him. If he gave you the answer, please tell me. He was active. I mean, he was, and we've always had confidence in Kipper scoring the basketball, but that's the Kipper we all know and love, and I'm really happy for him because he can help us be a next level team, and there's no doubt about that. With that type of effort, his effort on the glass, coming up with balls, we got to get him to quit fouling, but his effort was great.
Team DI, or who's got the mic here in the middle?
Oh, me, Coach. I
Bob
got
does. Okay.
Coach. You went 8-2 in the Big Ten in this building. So what does the crowd mean to you guys? How are you guys doing here as opposed to when you first got here?
Well, again, I'm going to go back to my press conference and probably the 10 years I spent as an assistant at Western Illinois. I mean, the footprint was pretty well ingrained. I mean, this is what Illinois basketball is to me, and this is what the Orange Crush and man, and I mean, I'm the biggest advocate of student involvement. Coming to games. I mean, I think there's just unbelievable experiences and unbelievable memories. I hope somebody there, some young kid today, that maybe I took a picture with or signed a picture with after the game, wants to come to the University of Illinois because of a moment that happens in this building, or they become a lifelong fan. And to me, that's what makes college sports so special. And this is truly one of the best home courts in the country. When it's like it has been the last 5, 6, 7 games.
Adam?
Hey, Brad, you've got a couple chances to see Luka Garza now. Where do you think he factors in terms of the National Player of the Year conversation?
I would venture to say, and I was just talking to Kent, he would be my front runner. I don't know anybody. I think you would be very hard pressed, and I haven't researched it, very hard pressed to find, and I was very fortunate. I got to coach Michael Beasley, and Michael Beasley averaged 26 and 12 as a freshman. And the things Luka does with the consistency that he does them, I don't know how many games he's had over 20 in a row, but it's 19, 20, 21, 22. Most players in college basketball over the course of a 30-game schedule have some ups and downs. You're going to be very hard-pressed. I thought Purdue the other night did an unbelievable job of guarding him, and I looked at the box score, and he had 26 and 14 or whatever it is. He's got to be at the top of those conversations. And, obviously he's probably at the forefront in our league as well. And when you're playing in the best player in the best league in the country, I would think you'd be right there.
Gavin.
Brad, it seems like Andres kind of really embodies what you love in a basketball player. He's scrappy. He rebounds above his size. He got a huge cheer in the ceremony today. What do you just think he has meant to this program in your time here?
Everything you just said. I think if you look at what I want our program to embody, and if somebody had to describe our program, I want his picture, and I want all of the characteristic traits you all write about, and I want that. That's our description of what I want Illinois basketball to be. And at the time we recruited him, we needed his maturity, we needed his age, we needed his experience. He's been as big a piece of this as Io or anybody else in terms of helping us get this thing flipped.
Back to the left.
Coach Underwood, you mentioned in the opening statement the 20-game schedule, and then we have a league tournament. I'm just curious, we haven't had a league national champion in quite a while. How much wear and tear from the season to the tournament, is that a factor? And how much of it was just bad matchups, bad seeds, bad luck?
I don't know. I haven't studied it. I know I'll be glad when we get to play somebody else. It's part of the Big 12. They played 18. You had a conference tournament. We've had teams there. I don't have a very good answer for that. I'm guessing it's probably we've had some great teams. We've had teams in the Final Four, a bunch of them, and maybe it's just not their night. But I think there's a bunch of teams this year who have a chance to win a national championship.
Tyler.
Coach, you mentioned that you think Garza's your conference player of the year. Are you willing to do your campaign speech for Iowa on the first team as well?
Oh, absolutely. Find one. Find anybody who's better. Find anybody who's made more game winners, impacted a team, impacted a program. We were a shell of ourselves the game we played without him. And he's been absolutely as good on both ends of the court as anybody in this as any guard in this league.
Brett in the back.
But what about for Kofi, Brad, freshman of the year?
I hope they voted that. He's won the award a few dozen times, it seems like. He's impacted our program in every aspect and maybe has impacted our program, and that's not to discount. This league's got really good freshmen, and his impact on our program has been huge, and he's had some unbelievable moments in the best league in the country.
Scott.
How important is getting that double bye, and maybe just in terms of where you guys started from a couple of years ago?
I got to think about that a little bit. I know it's important. It's much. You have a better chance to win the tournament playing 3 games than you do 5. That's obvious, but I think the way people perceive you, I think the way people look at you, I think recruiting, I think being a top 4 team in the best league in the country. There's so many outside things that go with that. Means a lot to me because we continue to grow and improve, and that's all. Now, are we where we want to be? No, we're here to win Big Ten championships, and we haven't done that yet. So we got to keep growing there.
Joey.
Brad, you mentioned Luka would be your front runner, but your freshman Kofi didn't foul him on that final play, and he's been pretty good about fouling for the most part this season. How big was that for his growth to to not foul him?
Well, last second plays are hard because you kind of, we wanted to see what set they were in. We figured they had they've got a play and it's a double lob, which was the first one set up, and then the second one we knew it was either be somebody ripping off for a three, but more importantly, if we switched and we didn't switch, then we would have exposed Garza. So we kept Kofi on and we put Georgie on the ball and knew that they were going to have to shoot one over a 7'6" wingspan.
Brad.
You've had 31 games here, 20 Big Ten games. What have you learned about this group over this season?
Well, they continue to amaze me. And they asked me that today pregame in terms of I couldn't be prouder of a group. The most important thing with this group, Brad, is how much I love them, how much fun they are. They're 18 to 22-year-olds. They're not perfect, but it's always been about let's get better and let's work and let's have fun doing it. And it's fun to see friendships develop, and it's new experiences, and those are things that bond you together, just tighter and tighter, and we're going through a lot of firsts, but this group's fun, man. I enjoy the personalities of this group a lot.
Yeah.
It's almost so obvious I have to ask about getting Kofi involved and throwing it in the post as early as you did, and what went into that game plan, and just his intensity against a kid like Garza, who he said he thought dominated him in the first game, just to get him energized and get him motivated to play.
Well, sometimes the best way to slow down a really good scorer is make him guard. And, we didn't get Kofi involved in the first game. Maybe I need to start Tyler every game and, just pitch the ball into him. But yeah, it was a focal point. Kofi plays better when he gets involved. He was pretty dominant there in that early stretch. So, we've got to continue to do that. Sometimes we miss him. We got him on a few rolls at the rim, a few lobs, and it showed his versatility and showed what we can do offensively with versatility as well.
Gavin.
Brad, this will be your third Big Ten tournament now. Just from the last couple of years, what have you learned and taken away from how to win that thing?
I don't know. We haven't got very far. The first year was the first year I was, we were just there. Last year I thought it was really important for our program because we had played better late to get the feeling of winning a game in that tournament. And, there's no, I told the team after the game, when you get to March, it is playing to exhaustion and then figuring out how to go do that again. And there's a mental component to that. And because if you lose, you're done. And you've got the rest of the offseason to rest. And in that process, you've got to have fun. You've got to enjoy the moment. But it is literally, it's a challenge. It's 3 days in a row, and you've got to be focused every single night, or you get beat.
Eric.
Kind of going off of that, just what do you feel like the identity is of this team heading into the Big Ten tournament, and how has that identity just differed in previous years?
Well, we guard this year. Our whole identity's been on the defensive side. And last 2 years, we haven't been good enough defensively to, having enough toughness to withstand. Even though they shot 50% tonight, I felt like, in the second half our defense was pretty good. We give up 62 or 63 points a game. So that's our mentality. It's been that throughout.
Last question here with Brad.
We come in here before practice. I was going through a full workout, mid-range jumpers. I think he shot 25% off the dribble last year. How does it go from that to where that's the closing move, and just how do you kind of describe your confidence in him in those moments?
It's like I said, it's Io's a different guy, and I mean that in every possible positive format I can come up with. He lives for that. He lives to play with a chip on his shoulder. People told him out of high school he couldn't shoot. People told him, he wasn't strong enough. People, whatever the case, and all IO does is go work to prove them wrong, and that's the way he was raised. His family. He spends a ton of time in the gym, maybe more than any player that I have coached and been around, and tell him he can't do something, show him some numbers, he's going to go prove you wrong because he's going to work at it. Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you, Coach.
See you on Friday.